So why on earth would a 4-year-old need to learn artificial intelligence? Well, guess what? I believe that there are 7.25 reasons, and one of them involves a spoon and a robot named Bubbles. Listen, in this video, I want to take the time to show you why it's so important that we start exposing our little people, right? Those in early childhood education, those pre-K to STEM and STEAM, because I believe it's going to make our world a better place. Hello, I'm Kantis Simmons. I'm the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers, and I'm on a mission to bring STEM and AI to our young people, to our schools, and to show them that STEM is everywhere. You know, one of the things that I've been so passionate about is working with educators on this aspect of helping their students learn STEM, love STEM, and live STEM. And I want to talk about 7.25 different reasons on why we should be exposing students to STEM and science at the preschool level and how it's going to impact them now. So one of the things that the other day, I was at church, and this little person was sitting with their parent in service, and they were sitting right in front of me. And so there was a dad, there was a little person, and then there was the mother. And so, you know, the mom and dad was listening to service, and the young person, you know, they had a device. And this young person was playing a game on their device. And then the young person hit their dad, was like, "Dad, get your device." And dad was like, "What?" And so the young person grabbed dad's device and pulled up the same game on dad's device and was trying to encourage dad to play the game as she was playing the game right there in church. And I was like, "Oh, that's cute." All right. But then guess what? As service was over, this father picked up his daughter and walked out of service. You say, "What?" Yeah, he picked up his daughter, walked out of service. Guess what? The daughter couldn't walk, but the daughter knew how to use technology. Yes, guess what? Your young person, the young persons in your life, they're using tech before they can talk. And they're swiping and pressing buttons before they can walk. Guess what? I want to give you and show you why you must start early in exposing your young person, the people in your life, in your classrooms, in your early childhood education centers, on why to use STEM starting today. Now, if you've never ever heard my story, I'm a STEM baby. Was raised up in STEM, was exposed to it. I remember in the 5th grade, I had a science project, 5th grade, about 10 years old. I had to do a science project. And at the time, my dad exposed me to this company called KIA. Yeah, KIA. He was saying, "Man, you know, there's this company that, you know, they're using materials to make cars, you know, less expensive. And they're using materials to make things more aerodynamic." And guess what? We can see that company today. It's called Kia. But I was exposed early on, and of course went through undergrad, grad school, worked at NASA, worked at Vision as a research scientist. And now, guess what? I want to expose other students and parents and teachers and educators to STEM and make sure that we're learning it so that we can love it and live it out. Also, I want to get into this today. I have this really cool book I want to get you access to. It's called STEM is Everywhere. If you click the link down below, I'll show you how to get access to it. But I take the time to break down and give you some really cool activities that you can use in school, activities you can use at home, activities that you can apply so that your students can learn it, love it, and live it. So let's jump into these 7.25 reasons. Yes, I got a really cool birth defect here, and I'm gonna give you all of what I have today. And let me give you these reasons, okay? Reasons why you would expose them early. Number one, you want to expose them early, right? Because it brings about confidence later. Yeah, expose your students to STEM early on so it brings confidence later, right? Confidence starts early in your young person. Kids who see STEM and AI as normal at 2, 3, and 4 aren't intimidated when they get to middle school, high school, right? So by exposing them to it early, guess what? They'll be more confident when they experience physics. They'll be more confident when they get into a calculus class. They'll be more confident when they are having to do a science project. So number one, early exposure equals confidence later. Number two, reason why you want to expose your young person to STEM early. Guess what? You want to future-proof their skills, right? future-proof their skills. Now, we talk all about AI. We talk about how AI is going to take over the world and AI is going to replace certain careers. But guess what? AI isn't just tech. It's a lifestyle, right? The careers they'll have don't exist yet. But guess what? When you prepare them now, you're actually future-proofing their skills. You know, one of the things that my dad, shout out to my father, told me early on was this. He said, Kantis, if you can look into the future and sort of predict what's going to happen in the future, and then now you prepare yourself for the future, guess what? When you're present, when the future becomes your present, then you'll be prepared. What was he saying? He was saying, hey, as a parent, as a young person, hey, look into the future. What's going on? What does the future look like? And then guess what? Start future-proofing your skills now, so when the future becomes your present, your young person will be prepared. And guess what? AI is right now going on, but guess what? It's going to be 10 times, 20 times better than what it is. And I want to make sure that your young person is prepared. So go ahead right now, start exposing them to STEM and AI so you can future-proof their skills. All right, number 3, guess what? Number 3, play is programming. Yeah, play, right? Playing with STEM, playing with AI bots, playing with coding toys, playing now produce a cause and effect. Right? So if kids are playing with STEM now, if they're playing with AI now, guess what it's going to do? It's going to build their logic. It's going to build sequencing. It's going to help them with core AI skills because they're playing with it all day long. Believe it or not, when a young person grabs your phone or their iPad or whatever to swipe on their devices and press certain things, guess what? They are playing with STEM and AI. And what you're actually doing when they play, you're now programming them to think different, right? You're programming them to now be able to maneuver to what's going on, and you're programming their mind for the future. Reason number 4, okay? Equity begins in pre-K. You say, what? Equity begins in pre-K. Now, here's one thing that I see. Too many of our kids miss out because they're just introduced to things a lot later, okay? So let me just say this, right? Okay, the obvious, I am a Black young man. And when I was coming through school, I was even a minority in my classes because I was one of the few that were really interested and pretty good in science, technology, and math. When I went to college, right, I was amongst a few amazing students who were specializing in science, technology, engineering, and math. When I went to grad school, guess what? I was the only Black young man in my grad school classes. Then, when I went and started working at NASA, I was one of the only African-American scientists there. When I started working at Vision developing contact lenses, I was one of the only Black African-American men in the laboratory. But guess what? What if we start exposing our young people to science, technology, and engineering a lot earlier? Guess what we're going to do? We're now going to level the playing field because exposure early brings about equity later. And I believe if you start thinking early, they'll be prepared later. Okay, that's number 4. Number 5, the 5th reason you want to start exposing your young person to STEM, whether it's in early education, whether it's in your home, whether it's in school, is because STEM plus AI projects invite families in. When a young person and their parent have conversation, have engagement, have conversations and playtime around STEM, it's now increasing parent engagement. You know, one of the things I love about my dad was a mathematician going through college, right? He ended up working in sales. And but he exposed me to certain things, and it caused us to have parent to child engagement. Whether that was cutting grass, I started a lawnmower business at the age of 8 years old, know how to cut grass, make money. Right? From using my skills to learn how to paint, like paint around the house, paint homes. That eventually started into a business. Learning how to fix things with my hand, learning how to use tools. Guess what? When we do that, we're causing the parents to have more engagement with their young person. And guess what? Even today, my dad is my go-to person. Why? Because of the engagement that we had early on. Okay? So that's the 5th reason that we want to start early with STEM. Here's the 6th reason we want to start early with STEM. It's because critical thinking equals less tantrum. You say, what? Yeah. You ever seen a young person just trip out because they can't do something? They just throw a temper tantrum. But guess what? When you start exposing them to certain things where STEM is concerned, it's going to actually help them to start reasoning. It's going to help them look at something and start making better decisions. It's going to have them start to reflect, right? You put something in front of them rather than them shouting, I can't do it, I can't do it. Guess what? You're now working with them. Hey, figure it out, reason, decide on what needs to go on here, and reflect on it. Now that now translates over to fewer emotional outbursts, right? Fewer emotional meltdowns, because now we're using STEM to trigger their critical thinking skills. So critical thinking equals less trauma. Number seven, guess what? Here's another reason you want to expose them to STEM early, because they already use AI, right? They already are using AI, from Siri to YouTube Kids, right? To your cell phone, to all of the different things. They are already surrounded by AI. So let's help them understand it, not fear it. You know, one of the things that I talk about in my book, STEM is Everywhere, is that we talk about learn it, love it, and live it. I actually go into detail on, let's take the things that are already living, already loving, and help them learn it. So we can have conversations on, you know, how is YouTube Kids working? How does Siri work? How does this device work? How does this video game work? Right? They're playing video games all day long. Guess what? That's part of AI. That's part of STEM. Now, guess what? We can now turn that video game into a conversation, where that conversation now leads to the foundational components of science, technology, engineering, and math. So the reason number 7, you want to expose them to STEM, they're already using AI. They're already in the environment. You as an educator, you as a parent, you as a loving adult, you have to catch up. And here's the 7.25th reason why. Gotta always show some love to my nub, right? Here's the 7.25th reason why I feel like you want to expose your young person, the little people, to STEM early, is because of this. STEM builds our brains. What? Yes, guess what? 90% of who you are as an individual happen before the age of 5. Yes, 90% of a little person's brain is developed by the age of 5. So our brains are like empty hard drives on a computer. And research has shown when you start exposing them to certain things early on, guess what? That's going to determine their life. What if you took your little young person, exposed them to STEM, to STEAM, to understanding decision-making and critical thinking skills and science and technology and engineering and math? Their brains are now being developed so that in the future they'll be prepared. So my encouragement to you is to not only think about STEM and STEAM at the high school level or the college level. My encouragement is to start them early. I like to say it this way: STEM them early. Reason number 1, early exposure brings about confidence, right? Expose them early. Early exposure increases their confidence level later. Number 2, you want to future-proof their skills. You want to make sure what you do today will help them in their future career. Number 3, you want to use play as programming. They're playing with certain things, and that's also programming them. Number 4, equity starts in pre-K, right? We can level the playing field later on in our careers by exposing them a lot early. Number 5, it increases parent engagement. Parent get in, student get in. You guys connect around that area. Number 6, critical thinking equals less tantrums. They won't trip out. Well, not that much, right? If you go ahead and start helping them with their critical thinking skills. Number 7, they're already using AI. They're already using STEM. Be more intentional about it. And number 5, brain development. 90% of your young person is being developed before the age of 5. And my encouragement to you is to go ahead and STEM. Listen, if I can help you in any type of way, hey, click the link down below to get access to my best-selling STEM book. STEM is Everywhere. Goes into more detail on more activities, more things that you can do to make sure that your young person learns it, loves it, and lives it out. I'm Kantis Simmons, the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers. And remember this, only one game in life counts, and that's your A game. And by the way, I got some more cool videos around this STEM education right here. Click this, go deeper so we can all make this world a better place. Talk to you soon.